there's no questions getting raised on the stream, but Mitch did point out in the chat that the feed to X on YouTube is okay. Derek's just replied. Yeah, we dropped out of X and YouTube for the broadcast, but Derek's looking into it. It's back up, he said. So we should be back on stream now on X and YouTube. Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, morning team. Awesome. Hey, it's Mitch, Crypto Mitch here. 4:20 a.m. here in Perth. Thought I'd jump in and support you guys. I'll try and do a bit of a summary today when I put out a video about TELx. So thanks for everything you guys are doing.
Yep, thanks, Mitch. We're all watching you on X and everywhere else, so thanks for your help.
Another Aussie in the house, if I'm correct. Okay, then we continue to the Merkl meeting.
Eric, sorry, I just wanted to mention one more thing on the pools. It's just as we're looking at diversifying from different protocols. I know, Ty, I think you brought this up, but we just need to make sure the compatibility with the subscriptions to TELx and the voting via snapshots, because we just need to make sure that those functionalities for liquidity miners are still valid, because that's a lot of what they have in terms of power for or influence in the governance DAO. So just wanted to reiterate that we need to make sure that everything is compatible with snapshot and subscriptions to TELx as we review and look at new protocols.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Ty.
Sorry, I just was saying thanks, Andrew, and over to you, Eric. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's a good bridge to the next topic on our agenda, the Merkl meeting, where we also discussed the way Merkl works and what we want as a council, still using the things we built with the TELx website, including the voting and the snapshots for our users. I was hoping that Leo would be in here, but I don't see him currently.
Yeah.
Ah, it's your boy. Hi, Leo. Could
indeed.
you give I see your nickname now. Could you give us a recap of our Merkl meeting and where we stand currently?
Sure, yeah. So we met with Baptiste, who's their BD guy, I think one of the co-founders. He's very keen to kind of help us get rolling, at least on a trial period, to see how we like it and if it's a match. He's also seems pretty willing to help us on the integration front, as Andrew mentioned. So that will be a bit of lift on their end to figure out how we can ensure that only subscribed people who are subscribed or their positions are subscribed are incentivized. So we kind of put together a bit of a report, I guess, of how things work on our end, and we've sent that over to them. So that's kind of ball in their court, and we're waiting to hear back regarding options around integrating. And then generally the idea is if they can do that for us, we will kind of get it tested kind of in parallel with our existing systems, and then gather a bit of data to see which distributions we prefer and which method we prefer overall. So that's the rough game plan, I believe.
Yeah, that sums it up pretty good, I think. Leo, thank you. Does somebody want to add anything to this topic?
No, I think I was quite impressed with the Merkl operation, and if we can get everything aligned like we hope, then I'm really excited to run the parallel test and see what comes out of it.
Yeah, it's also what I really like is that we're not interacting directly with Merkl contracts. ourselves. It's I actually like what I saw, and also the possibilities to even to in the future to tweak reward incentives based on whether we're talking about a stable pool or a non-correlated pair. So it's yeah, I thought it was pretty positive also. I don't know, are there any community members who have experience with Merkl? Would be nice to have some input from our community. So if you have some, put it in the chat.
Yeah, and while we're waiting to see if anybody jumps on that, again, like you guys have been mentioning, like I think the beauty of the functionality to pivot, adjust, be flexible with the rewards, adjust the parameters on a campaign by campaign basis, like that's huge too. So, like, I know we've kind of alluded to this before, but like we could always do, like a 2-month campaign for an initial launch of a new pool, and have a little bit of a heavier incentive, and then kind of drop those down once the pool is established, right? So it's nice to have that flexibility. And then from that perspective too, with joining with Merkl, is that like a lot of the management and all that kind of stuff of this would be executed through them. Like obviously there's a little bit of a fee for that, but it's a little bit more hands off, which I think is a really good approach, and takes some of those steps out of our hand, frees up some of the dev work as well from the association. So I think overall, I'm very excited and looking forward to it. I think we just got to wait, like Leo said, on the technical specs to see kind of what's needed from their side, to start seeing the parallel in how those rewards are being distributed versus what they're going to do versus the hook and all the stuff that Marcus has put together. But it's exciting to see, and based on that conversation we had with Baptiste, like it was really encouraging.
Can we put down something of a timeline for this process?
I think we're just waiting on the technical side first to get an understanding of the work needed. Leo, I don't know if you want to lean into that a little bit more.
I have no idea of timelines, but Baptiste seems pretty on it, so hoping that's right.
Yeah, but like maybe not the timeline, but specifics on like what integrations they need to do. Like, do you have an idea from that perspective?
Yeah, so just kind of roughly speaking, all of our rewards get distributed by the position registry contract, basically, and that exposes a few public view functions, essentially, which allow us to, or anyone to get users or addresses and their positions and whether they're subscribed or not. So they basically just need to hook into those and call those and cross-reference with their. So basically how they're working at the moment in general terms is they'll incentivize all LPs in a particular pool. Our integration will basically require that they'll continue doing that, but then they will essentially cross-reference their list of LPs with our list of subscribed users from that position registry contract. And then they'll basically pick just to incentivize the ones who are subscribed. There's a bit of nuance with, on their end, they say it's easier to find, to kind of pick a single address rather than individual positions, which would mean that if we were to go that route, a user would just have to have one position subscribed, and then all of their positions would be eligible, which is a bit different to the current spec. We're also asking them about optionality around having the more granular approach, basically, which is position by position. So yeah, those are kind of both up in the air, and we'll see what they come back with. But we'd prefer to have the more granular approach, but it kind of depends what's on their end, and they don't have, their code isn't open sourced, so it's kind of hard for us to help on that front as well.
Cool. Thank you, Leo. I see Ty, you got your hand up.
Thanks, Leo. Yeah. So, but if they're going to, I mean, I don't understand the full technicalities behind these smart contracts, but if they're going to access the position registry contract anyway to validate the wallet addresses, it shouldn't be too much of an extra ask to get them to go down that granular route to the position checking.
Yeah, I guess you'd hope not. It just sounded like their backend code works better with one than the other. You should be able to kind of infer the more granular approach. Yeah, you're right, but I don't know what's going on their backend, and I don't know what their devs' appetite is for it. But
yeah, and to put another spin on it, if they do that sort of development for us, then it enhances their back end as well. So it gives them extra clout, you know. For,
all right, Ty, you're going to negotiate with them.
Yeah.
I think Baptiste said it was possible on their end.
I think
I think anything's possible. It comes down to their appetite for the development and whether they would ask us to maybe contribute to the development. And I think obviously the easiest route would be the cheapest, and you know, maybe they would do that for us to get the business. But if there's a bigger spot of development to do, then you know, maybe there is a cost aspect that they're weighing up at the moment. So, but we've got that chat going, and Baptiste is quite responsive on the Telegram chat. So, you know, that's obviously the place that we iron out these questions, and we should have something positive to report in time for next meeting, I would hope.
I would hope so too, yeah. And I'm just looking at my notes from that meeting too. Another thing I wanted to highlight too is that Baptiste outlined that rewards will target active tick liquidity as well. So that will help minimize any manipulation that we might be seeing. And then to further on that, you know, we talked about price bounds, you know, maybe a little bit more specific to the stablecoin pools. And I think the beauty there is because obviously the stablecoins are not supposed to fluctuate that much. But if there is, you know, quote unquote depegging, at least within those reward parameters, it's only going to incentivize within those bounds. So maybe it's a plus or minus, you know, 2%, 3%, whatever it is for stablecoins. And then anything outside of that would not be incentivized. So, and then further tied to the point you made about, you know, act like more, you know, work and whatever, on what they might be able to explore. We did talk about dynamic pricing bounds that would adjust with market movement. So that is essentially similar to what we were talking about with like the reclaim pools with Balancer V3. So I know, Ty, you had brought that up during the call, so I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add on that, but I just wanted to provide a little bit more context on the reward side to help with that, you know, possible manipulation that we've been seeing.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I think, you know, the proof will be in the proof of the pudding's in the eating, and if we can get a play and a parallel run happening, we'll all learn a lot more about what it does and maybe what the potential is. So yeah, no, just waiting to get our hands on it, really.
Just to manage expectations as well, we did ask him if there was any way of getting a Uni V2 style distribution of rewards, which we've heard basically a lot of feedback from the community that they like that and the predictability and everything there. And he did kind of laugh at that, unfortunately. So it's not going to be like a holy grail silver bullet situation, but yeah.
Why did he laugh about it?
Huh?
Why did he laugh about it?
Just because it's not it's not really feasible with or concentrated liquidity style pools. There are fundamental differences, so can't get that, even distribution just based on the amount of liquidity provided.
Okay.
Well, he did say, like, going through it, like, they have that ability based on those parameters to provide incentives on, like, token A liquidity, token B liquidity, and then fees as well, right? But that, I think, is more within the active TELx as opposed to the general pool, right? So from that perspective, you would need to be obviously in range, and that's what we want to have that concentrated liquidity. But keep in mind, we can, based on what I understand, incentivize liquidity by token, but it's got to be within that active tick range.
Yeah, that's agreed. Yeah, it's still the positioning of the liquidity is still important, as compared to V2 where it's not, or you don't have the option.
Yeah, it's not zero to infinity. It's specific ranges.
No, and in the end, we want deep liquidity as final thing. So I think that's good. Okay, before we get too technical on all this this stuff, which I don't mind, but I think a lot of people do. So far on the Merkl side, we got our next point on the agenda is the TELx website, where I think we published the liquidity provider guide. Ty, you were in the lead for this.
Okay, thanks. No, I thought we said last meeting that was all up and running. It is live. There's various links to it now, specifically for V4, obviously, because that's where the complexity lies. But yeah, no, that's all working and accessible. I don't know how often it's getting referred to, but it's certainly there on the live TELx site now.
Did we get any feedback from the community? Do they understand it? Do they like it?
Yeah, that's just what I was about to say. I think there were one or two questions that I think Andrew responded to from one or two members, just some minor queries, but that was probably the first day that the community read the document. And I don't think there's been anything since.
Okay, that's this is all also when we go into with if we go on with Merkl, we would gain a lot of time to look at other things that are less complicated. We also the TELx website, we talked about a broader revamp with a unified web presence in broader context with the association. Do we have anything to add here? For now.
No, that's still getting talked about in general terms of the wider unification project. There was Khalil did notify that there was a minor bug fix that was put into the testing environment, and he is actively looking at that. When you display the fees on the graph within TELx, the fees part of the data, if you hover over each bar, you get kind of a very low fee amount, which we think is wrong. It's not, that doesn't tie in with the 24-hour fee total that's being displayed. So he is looking at that as well. So there should be, once he resolves that, there should be a couple of issues fixed that will roll out into the live environment. So that's, we should see that within the next few days happening.
Okay.
But that's all I can report on.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
I was
the unified. Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
Sorry, Eric. I was just going to add. I think there was supposed to be a meeting between the Tao and Anderson, I think, today. So it's possible that we might get a little bit more of an update as to where things are at tomorrow during the Platform and Treasury Council. Derek, you got your hand up. Maybe you got some insights.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, there was a call earlier today, and then there's a kind of a kickoff sort of call on Friday. So more to come probably on the Platform and Treasury call next week.
Thank you, sir.
Good, thank you, Derek. Are we talking about the association, Unified Web Presence, or is holdings also included here?
This is specific for the association.
Yeah, not holdings.
The network, yeah, the network, TELx, all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And then we talked before. We looked at a dashboard Derek built to analyze data and also for us to have kind of an admin dashboard. Did we progress on that, or do we want to add anything on that? I don't think we spent more time on it.
Yeah.
Derek.
So I talked to Leo about this briefly, and I'm pivoting slightly just for now. Going to be essentially what I want to do. What I'm doing is looking at the Ty after you and I spoke, looking at the output that currently is generated by the script, and then using that output specifically to provide a little bit more insight when generated. So it has a lot of data there that can be just calculated appropriately. So that way it will make, for now, some more easier to understand the outputs, easier to understand things like how much time a position was in range, the liquidity of said position, and at a minimum, it could be an audit tool if a community or LP provider has a question that the council can use, because it's going to be automatic. It, in theory, is automatically generated anytime the script is run. So pivoting slightly just to do that for now. Obviously, the other part is a bigger project. So yeah, that's my update.
Cool. Thank you, Derek. Yeah, I really liked what you built. It's maybe a bit complex for the normal users, but it's that was awesome. Okay, we will be looking at a council the coming the weeks to the TELx website also, and see if we can adjust things that improve the UX. So yeah, that's it for the TELx website. I think, are there any questions on stream or from other council members? Things they want to add?
Nothing that I'm seeing from the stream in terms of questions.
Okay, then we move on to our next topic, the TELx University. It's still on there. How are we doing over there? Anybody with updates? Andrew, Leo? I don't think there's much updates on this for now, right?
Yeah, Leo, I don't know if there's more that you can say, but from my understanding, like, we're still working through kind of like those final details and getting it across the finish line. We want to make sure that it's done properly and make sure that it is fully ready to go before kind of launching. We don't want to have to launch and then kind of rejig some stuff, a month after it's been launched. So I think we're just taking our time a little bit to make sure that, all those T's are crossed and those I's are dotted.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, the devil is in the details, so we're getting there. But yeah, it's all new stuff, so we want to do it right.
I love those English expressions. Let me see. Okay, so that's about TELx University. Then the topic I like most personally, the eXYZ digital dollars. And we had a bit of a Clarity Act being discussed the last weeks. I think this is all a huge win for Telcoin and the community, as we are the first licensed bank in the United States and fit the profile that they're looking for now with the Clarity Act. Did somebody read the Clarity Act? I don't know if as a whole, put it in an AI or something. What do you think about the Clarity Act? Are we all familiar with it?
pretty familiar, I would say. At least I haven't read every page either, but I would say for the most part, pretty familiar. But
I'll put it.
I would say depending on how Congress goes through and puts the final details on this, I think it would be a huge advantage for Telcoin Bank, Telcoin Holdings, that if yield generation is only permitted to bank issued stablecoins, like that's huge. Like obviously we know in the U.S. We're the first to do it, but that would mean USDT, USDC, any other stable coins are not able to participate in any yield generation, right? Like it has to be a digital asset from an issued bank, like a licensed bank, right? So to me, like that's huge. We'd have first mover advantage with all that kind of stuff, and that would open, pretty much kick the door wide open for opportunities, I think, with Telcoin Holdings. So curious to see kind of how all of that plays out. But if it does go the way that it's sounding, big opportunity for Holdings.
Yeah, I would agree. Definitely agree on that. There's been a lot of discussion between. I know Brian Armstrong from Coinbase. He is actually still in talks. He opposed the bill, I think, on some stuff in there. Do we have more? Do we have any questions, opinions about the Clarity Bill and what it means for Telcoin for now? No. Okay, then we also have still on the agenda that we would have a meeting with Paul and Holdings. Now to gain further alignment on the stablecoin corridors, and also to have a look in the future about the role of TELx and what we are looking at when mainnet comes. Did we plan a meeting already with Holdings, or are we in contact? I think this was something for you, Andrew.
And no, Mike was going to speak to Paul, but I haven't heard if he actually did get to speak to him or whether he progressed anything with that. Yeah, and he's not on the call this morning. So we'll probably find out more, just for, I suppose, the benefit of the wider community as well, is that the council have instigated weekly meetings now. Every 2 weeks we have this council meeting, but every other week we have a private meeting just to make sure we're progressing things promptly and making sure we don't drop anything along the way. So we'll find out next week probably from Mike if he's managed to get in touch with Paul and what the outcome of those talks were. So yeah, that's really all. But Mike's the person to field these questions, Eric.
Okay. Yeah. And Mike is not here now. Now that we ask him next time, I do think it's. I think we all agree that it's good to look at the future and align with the broader strategy and see where we fit in. Also, what kind of pools we want for the stablecoin pools, the eXYZ pools, see what works. And like you said, Ty, we have a bi-weekly internal call also scheduled for the coming months, and we will be looking as a council to the different options for pools, whether it's with Telcoin pools or stablecoin, the eXYZ pools. And there's a lot of interesting stuff out there. So yeah, lots to do.
Yeah, just
anything else, Ty?
Yeah, just a couple of things. I just looked at the TELx website there, and just out of interest, in the old balancer pools, well, I say old, the balancer V2 pools, there's over 3 million TVL, and on the V4 pools, there's 650,000 TVL. So the bulk of liquidity is still resting in V2 type pools. So, and I don't think that's because of the rewards. I think that's just where people feel more comfortable supplying liquidity into, because obviously a better bang for your buck in terms of reward generation is the V4 pools, but that hasn't caused a shift in liquidity, in the volume of liquidity, because most of it's sitting still in V2 type pools. So that was an interesting thing I found out. And also shout out to Boo. He posted an article which I found quite interesting on the power holders chat. I don't know if you've got the link handy, Boo, to post it in the chat here, but it's well worth a read about, rather than the Clarity Act, which is very political, it's more the strategy of Telcoin moving forward with telecoms as the platform, which is a real interesting read. So thanks for posting that, Boo.
Is that the one I posted today that you're referring to?
Yeah, the one that you posted, maybe a couple of hours ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If we can post that into the stream, make sure everyone else can see it.
Yeah, please do. I also don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. By the way, I think because the balancer pools, what you saw, Ty, the balancer pools who have more liquidity, I think it's also a bit market dependent, because in current market where we see our coins disappear in the wind, I think in current market conditions, I'd rather be in a V2 than in a V4 where I have to manage my pool constantly and deal with impermanent loss. That is a pretty big size, I think, currently with this market. Yeah, so it might explain it a bit also.
Yeah, and also the TEL WBTC pool on Polygon, that overshadows everything else in terms of volume. Locked, TVL locked.
Yeah.
But anyway, somebody's displaying that article, which I think is good. Is that Derek or Boo? Are you got screen share on?
That's Derek, I think.
All right.
Cool.
Thanks, Derek. Yeah, that article, yeah.
It's always Derek. Okay, then we have basically the last topic on the agenda, and we go to the Q&A. I don't know if there are any questions at the moment from the community or the council.
Clarity incoming, no confirmed pass. No, there's no real questions.
What is it saying? There's no confirmed passage date. Yeah, it's about the Clarity Act. Progress is continuing, but the Clarity Act is still pending in the Senate and may not clear both chambers until later in 2026, if not beyond. Thank you, GFT79. And Dali is in there. Dali, great work, by the way, always present. So thank you very much. Shout out to Dali. Okay, if there are not any questions, we're 5 minutes before our schedule. Our next meeting will be on February 18th. I think Andrew, you couldn't join the 18th. I think for me it's also a bit hard. So I think we both won't be there. It's correct, Andrew. You still there?
Andrew's internet's gone down. I don't know if he's still online. What's his phone?
Okay, Ty and Boo, you will be there next meeting.
Yeah, we'll sort it out between us, between the remaining hardcore members, shall we say?
Okay, cool. Then I think we call it an end. Thank you for joining, everybody. Thanks to the council members, and we see each other again in 2 weeks. So have a nice evening.
Thanks, everyone.